Hey everyone, welcome back to another Taylin Tea video. Today I'm bringing you something a little special, a little different. So, to my knowledge, this comes around once a year, and it has for the past, I don't know, like 8 years or something. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but this is the Puer like newbie sampler from Liquid Proust. It is basically free. You just pay shipping this year, which was $5, and you get sent, to my knowledge, a bunch of high quality goodies. Not sure what's in it, just got it, so I'll open it up and see. So first I'll start by saying sorry for the long absence. I've been busy with my internship and finishing up my first part of school, and I'll be going to my second part here soon. So just been a real hectic schedule. So this may get uploaded at a weird time, maybe a bit later than I intend. But I'm just gonna keep forward and at least record the videos, and I'll upload them when I can. So you might notice me mention some different time frames, and they may be months apart, frankly. So we're just going to look at what came with this first, and then I guess I'll choose one to drink in today's video. This is 2006 8 Pieces Spring Yiwu. By the way, I think Liquid Proust mainly specializes in a lot of factory tea, which I'm super not familiar with, so it'll definitely be an interesting new thing for me. 2018 Sheng pu'er. It doesn't have any kind of label or anything on it, so maybe it's from one of these packagings in that came in the package. What is that? 06 Xizihao Yuli. What is that? Young Goal Session? Sorry for my pronunciations of probably all of this. Xiaguan Tea Factory. Ah, I can kind of pronounce that one, hopefully, probably. Yiwu Taiwan Sword Raw Puerh, 2012. Huh. These are all like, I don't know what's considered well-aged. I'd say these are all like moderately aged, right? 2006 Star of Menghai, Dayi. We got 2017 Snoozefest Raw Puerh. Huh, that's an interesting addition there. So a bunch of factory ones, and then we got a couple little specialty ones. 2002 Song Pin Hao Remake Raw Puerh, Malaysia stored. I don't know what I should have. Decisions. Let's do probably the most normal one, for me at least, the one that's closest to what I typically drink, which is going to be this 2017 Snoozefest. We'll start with that one and we'll work our way in, I think. I think that'll be a good way to go about it. But first, we'll show off these wrappers. These are pretty cool. I like that he included these. I wonder if there's like a date on it. 2006. And then Yunnan Xiaguan Group. Oh, is this like a special beginner's package note? Ah, it is. Give me one moment. I'm going to read this off camera. Yeah, that little book's pretty interesting. Basically, it was all the basics on how to brew tea, give you the basics on the teaware you should use, which he suggested a porcelain gaiwan. Then it has like temps, timing, different types of tea, what to look for when you're drinking tea, so like the flavor notes, the smell, the lingering aftertaste, all that jazz. Real helpful little book, real nice actually. I'll maybe be referring to it for some of its advice for tasting notes and such. But anyway, let me open up this 2017 Snoozefest and give it a sniff. It smells nice. Definitely has a little bit of an age smell to it. Let me try to pull some out and show it to you. Alright, here's what it looks like. Quite dark for a raw pu'er. I don't feel 2017 super old, but it looks and smells quite aged, so very interesting for that. But since this is aged and a raw pour, I will be doing a wash. This is at boiling, and I'll probably do this wash for, I don't know, 15 seconds or so, maybe 10. This piece I put in here seems pretty reasonably compressed. Alright, dumping that wash. And I'll be doing a relatively small amount of leaves today. I don't have a ton of time to do a real long session like I normally like to. And I am using that newer chameleon teaware I got from Bitterleaf. Super happy with it. It's really pretty. But let's give a wet smell on this tea, because usually the dry, frankly, there's not much. Wow, it smells real nice. There's like a sweet, fruity, almost plum or something to it. A little bit of vegetal remaining, but not a whole lot. Smells real nice. I'm curious to see how it progresses in flavor. Alright, going in, we are at boiling once again, and we will do another quick, I don't know, 15-second steep for this first steep. Alright, it's probably been about 15 seconds now. Snoozefest is definitely seems like an interesting one. I don't believe I've had the chance to try it yet. I believe they still release it every year at White 2T. I think it's just one of their typical go-tos they bring around every year, so I imagine it's quite good and quite popular. And if I recall correctly, I bought a bunch during the last sale of it. I just haven't tried it yet. But this tea's quite light, quite clear. It was a pretty short steep, but it's typically about what I do with raw pour. But it's quite a bit lighter than the darkness of the leaves would suggest. It does smell fantastic, though. There is like a nice juicy, fruity, sweet vibe going on in that smell. So just for fun, I pulled up 2017 Snoozefest from the White 2T website. Obviously, it is archived. It sold out very quickly. From the look of it, they only made 100 cakes in 2017, 200-gram cakes. So this is actually apparently a pretty rare treat. There's not much of it out there, but it went for $15, and per their description, they would normally sell this cake for $40 with the blend. And yeah, now that I'm seeing what the original label is, I did in fact buy a bunch of it this year. I bought immediately bought a tong as soon as I saw it, because it was $15 a pop. So I was like, yeah, why not? Limited time, comes out once a year, but it's looks like it's just some kind of, all they say is a limited edition blend. So yeah, let's give that first steep a try. Quite light so far. Probably gonna need another steep, but I like the essence of it so far. Quite fruity. Yeah, it definitely needs another steep, but I will say there's a good amount of fruitiness to it. There's a bit of like a bite, a bit of an astringent note, and too late to tell so far. I think I'm gonna go for that second steep. All right, here is that second steep. Still looking quite light in color. Definitely picked up a bit more though. Still very clear, very nice looking. Let's give this another smell. It's definitely opened up a bit more now, I think. It's very pleasant. It's very like light, fruity, a little sweet, maybe a little floral. Tiny bit of vegetable, but not much. Early on, I was getting kind of an ashy, almost like very slightly like cigarette ash or smoke scent to it, but that's kind of gone away now, I feel. But yeah, very pleasant, very sweet, light scent for sure. All right, I'm going to taste the second steep, 2017 Snoozefest. Still a really beautiful tea, you know, it's real light, not too jarring. Bitterness is almost zero. There's a bit of astringency, and I feel like there's a bit of a spice to it almost. It's kind of interesting. Good amount of sweetness, a little bit of a floral plant note to it, but very mild. I'd say like body's in the middle, but leans towards lighter for body. Yeah, there's an interesting overarching like spice to it that comes and goes quite quickly, and then there's a nice lingering sweetness at the end, an aftertaste. Very mouth drying as well. I feel like I get notes of honey. Maybe that's like with the floral and the sweetness. Yeah, really nice tea though. I think this would be very new person friendly for a aged raw pu'er or raw pu'er in general. It's very clean tasting too. I wonder where and when this particular one was aged. Maybe he bought it himself and it's just been chilling in Ohio, so it's, I guess, relatively drier age. Ohio gets a little humid, but not. I think compared to like China, it'd be considered dry. But very clean tasting, no aged funk to it or anything. There was a bit of aged funk to the dry smell, just a tad bit, but overall it's very mild. Very mild in flavor, a little bit of sweetness, very mild in bitterness, little to none. Tad bit of astringency, that weird overarching spice thing in it, which I kind of like. It's interesting. Moderate to light body, definitely feeling energized and caffeinated. This is my first caffeine today, after I've kind of let it stew and sit in between steeps and between takes to let it cool off. Definitely starting to feel it. But yeah, this is very nice. It's very a mellow, light tea, and I am feeling quite energized. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say, though. I'm going to continue doing all the rest of the samples from this Liquid Proust sampler in my next couple of videos, so look out for those. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. See ya. Alright, everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are continuing with the, I don't know, the Pu'er newbie sampler from Liquid Proust. Whatever you want to call it. It's his like once a year special. The next one I'm going to do is this 2018 Sheng Puer. Not labeled with any brand or any maker or anything, so this will be real interesting. Straight off the bat, I'll just show you these leaves real quick. I already got it in here. Smell, nothing to note so far on dry. It smells like something with some age. A little bit of a damp cellar feel, and it smells like a Sheng Puer. Not really anything to note as far as fruitiness or floral or anything. It just has a slight vegetal note. But we will go straight in with a wash, doing that at boiling, and this is like a compact little piece of cake. So I will probably let that go for about 30 seconds or so. I think that'll give it some ample time to open up. Alright, here is that wash. Already got some nice color to it, I feel. And that was about 30 seconds, give or take. Let's do a quick wet smell on this, now that it's hopefully been woken up a bit. A little bit of minerality for sure. Got a bit of sweetness, a bit of fruitiness. You know what it reminds me of is, it reminds me of Love Potion by Crimson Lotus. Very reminiscent of that. Which I'll link my video on Love Potion above, because I very much like that one. I don't recall the year of Love Potion. I think Love Potion, the one I had at least, was I want to say 2023 off the top of my head, but wash is looking quite clear, so that's pretty good. And we're gonna go just straight in with that first steep. Got my water heated back up. We're at boiling. And I think I'll go for about 15 seconds on this one. And that cake in there is a little bit opened up, but not all the way yet. Alright, here is that first steep. This is kind of interesting, kind of fun doing a basically blind tasting. All I know is it's a Sheng Puer from 2018, and it seems to have some good age on it. So I wonder if it was somewhat aged for 2-3 years in I don't know, Hong Kong or something. Looking at that liquid, already got some even more color, very clear, very no dust, no debris. Looks nice. Let's get another smell on this, see how that's adjusting. Yeah, it smells nice. There's a general little bit of a minerality to it. A little bit of sweetness and yeah, a little bit of sweetness and minerality. And a little bit of vegetal, but mostly I think the minerality and the sweetness and almost a fruitiness are poking through more than anything, I'd say. Alright, time to taste this first steep real quick. Alright, it's surprisingly fruity, at least so far. Hold on. Alright, so far, light to moderate body, nice little zing on the side of the tongue, a bit of fruitiness, a very good amount of minerality, like a wet cement almost. What do we call that? Petrichor? Kind of has a petrichor vibe. Not as much petrichor as like Love Potion, like I was talking about, which that also had kind of a, I don't know, a firework vibe. I don't think I'm getting any kind of gunpowder or firework vibe from this. But a lot of similarities to Love Potion for sure. Love Potion's a bit stronger tasting, in my experience, but it was also quite a bit younger tea. This one's quite a bit more subdued, but it's nice. I'm going to do a second steep just to get a full feel for it. Alright, here is that second steep. This was once again at boiling, and I probably did about 20 seconds this time. I wanted to push it a little, see how far I could take it with length of time and see if it gets bitter or super astringent or if I just get more flavor. So that's what I'm doing this time. I'll take another smell. Leaves seem fully open now, so why not? I will say leaves look pretty great. Very whole, very nice. Like, they look solid. Man, I am totally getting, like, kind of a... I don't know if I'm in my own head now, but it reminds me so much of a Love Potion. A lot of similarities to Love Potion. Let's say that. A good amount of fruitiness. There's like a good amount of minerality, like wet stone vibe. There's some like astringent spice note in there. And then there's still a little bit of a planty notes in there, like some vegetal notes. Very, very minimal. It's in the background, but it's definitely there. And it's definitely picked up a good amount more color now compared to that first steep, I'd say. Alright, I'm going to taste that second steep now. Quite flavorful. very powerful, but very minimal bitterness. I'd put the bitterness at like a 1, maybe 2, and that's because I just pushed it on purpose. Very light, very tolerable. I'd say very balanced. It works with the little bit of sweet fruitiness that's in there, which is more minimal now. Very mineral forward, but very clean tasting. At first, on the dry smell, it kind of had definitely had a little bit of an aged funk smell to it. It was very mild, but it definitely was there. But that went away basically instantly. There's a pretty fair amount of astringency now, but it's honestly pretty enjoyable. I think in this case at least it works, especially with that minerality, the little bit of bitterness, and there's like a little bit of a tang, a little bit of a zing that just kind of makes you pucker your mouth a little, maybe a little sourness almost. I'd say there is like a minimal amount of sourness, like a 1. It's definitely something there that kind of makes you pucker your cheeks a little, but it's nice. I actually really like it. Yeah, definitely powerful flavor. I'd say like a light, moderate body, not like super heavy, not even quite in the middle. It's a little lighter than that. Definitely very energizing. This is my first tea of the day. It's very nice. I'm enjoying this one. If only I knew what it was. It just says 2018 Xiaguan Tuocha. So I'll just have to enjoy it while I have it. But I think that's all I have for this one. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm thinking I'm going to put all these from this sampler set from Liquid Proust probably into one long video. So it's probably going to end up being like an hour-long video, but it is what it is. I think that'll be the best way, especially because some of these aren't really labeled. So I think that'll be just the best way to upload it onto the channel. Yeah, see ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Talon Tea video. Today I'm bringing you the next in the lineup from the Liquid Proust pack that I got, the new pu'er sampler pack. This is FT7573 Xiaguan Tea Factory, Riper Puer. No clue what the year is. I was kind of looking online what it is. It looks like it could really be anything. It looks like it comes from a cake. I don't know, looking online, looks like there's a 2017 available, there's a 2021, there's a bunch of different years. I'm not sure what this one's from, so we're just gonna enjoy it. Doesn't matter. Nice and dark. Here's what the chunk I'm about to brew looks like. And let me do just a quick dry smell. Probably nothing special, as I feel most shows don't really open up and dry smell. You gotta wait till you get some hot water on them. Alright. Smelling it, there's no funk, which is nice. No like wet pile smell. So it was either aired out really well or it's reasonably old, like 2-3 years, maybe longer. I'm getting kind of a cinnamony vibe on the dry smell, which is real interesting. Hopefully that's not the bag or something weird on the bag itself. Time will tell. But I'm going to go straight in with that wash at 212 Fahrenheit, and we're going to let that sit for, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds. Just because this is a bit compressed. Maybe even a little longer. I'll decide. Here is that wash. I'd say I let it sit for about 30 seconds. Just because it's a show. It feels pretty compressed. Who knows how old it is. We want to make sure it's nice and clean and ready to go. Got some reasonable color, but still pretty light so far, I'd say. And let's give that little chunk a smell. Smells nice. A little foresty. There's a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of a caramely cocoa thing going on. Definitely some kind of spice in there, and maybe some camphor also. Yeah, it smells quite nice, and the liquid's looking quite nice so far. It's looking quite clear, I'd say. No muddiness or anything weird going on. Granted, this is still a pretty whole chunk, but it's semi-hydrated now. All right, I poured that first steep boiling. Probably about 20 seconds, so a little longer than I normally would, but that'll be okay. Still mostly a whole piece, but yeah, started to expand at least. I'd say that chunk's like tripled in size. It definitely got a, I don't know, damp basement, earthy, aged smell to it. Definitely what I would expect out of a show. And for sure picked up a ton more color. Can't see through it anymore. Nice and dark. A little bit less dark in there. I kind of see through it. It's interesting. But yeah, it looks good. All right, I'm going to taste that first steep. This is FT7573 Xiaguan Tea Factory Riper Puer. Yeah, once again, not labeled for the date. Oh wow, that's very nice. Incredibly nice. Yeah, definitely has that cooling camphor at the end. Nice full body. Very balanced on the sweetness. There is a good amount of sweetness on the tip of the tongue and then like remaining in the back of the throat. Definitely fills the mouth. No bitterness, slight amount of astringency, ever so slight, barely there. Almost not there. Almost might as well not mention it. But it's just enough there to kind of balance the sweetness, I'd say. Definitely a little bit of a woodiness to this one. Maybe a bit of a mushroom vibe, too. Well, let me do one more steep. Alright, here is that second steep. Probably gone for, once again, another 15 or 20 seconds. I think this would probably work extremely well as a grandpa style, if you got a hold of this. I think this Xiaguan 7573 in general is a more common one from this tea factory, so they probably pretty easy to get a hold of from a number of different years, and probably not too expensive. I think that's generally the benefit of most modern tea factory teas is very consistent, so most years it's going to be very similar and pretty easy to get a hold of, and not too crazy in price if you're getting, you know, a reasonable date. Obviously, if you're going back to like the early 2000s, the 90s, or even older, it's going to get more expensive. But if you get more recent ones or even a few years old, it'll be pretty reasonable. Definitely daily drinkers for sure. All right, I'm going to taste that second steep. This one's super nice, super, I don't know, comforting, super easy to drink too. Keep in mind, I am somewhat familiar and used to show at this point. It did take me some time to acquire the taste, I'd say. I started with some of the more sweet ones, and was liking those more at first for sure. I will say this one doesn't have a wet pile taste, doesn't have any off or weird fishy tastes. Obviously, pour out the wash. Definitely, I'd say the first thing that hits is like a little bit of astringency with a bit of a woody flavor. A very round, full mouthfeel, so it's definitely a thicker tea that coats the mouth and has at first has like a cooling kind of a cooling thing going on in the back of the throat that dissipates quite quickly, and there is a background of sweetness that stays in the throat, and there's definitely a nice lingering aftertaste that I'd say is predominantly like soil and wood. Overall, it's very nice, very pleasant experience, and I'll definitely look into seeing if I can just get a cake of the stuff from a more recent year. This seems to be a more or common one. I see different various versions. I'll have to look into it because I know factory stuff, it's all like numbered and stuff. But yeah, this one's super nice. I really enjoy it. And this one, I couldn't tell if it came off of like a 2.0 or a cake. To me, it looks like it came off of a cake. It's not all super like oddly shaped. It's kind of flat looking. Same with the piece I put in. So I'm thinking this came off of a cake rather than was a tuocha. Up to this point, I find tuochas kind of annoying for just picking off, at least the ones I've gotten, like this one. It's a good tea, but it's just super compressed and like super hard and a super weird shape. And I just personally find it kind of annoying compared to cakes. Nothing wrong with it. Tea tastes good. And I think this is the same people. I don't really know. It kind of looks similar. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with factory stuff yet. I've been trying to get more into it. I've been more on the weird, smaller tea sites like White 2 Tea and Bitterleaf and all that, as you've seen. But yeah, very much enjoy this. I would definitely recommend it if you can get a hold of it. If you're trying to start with show and you want something on the cheaper side that is pretty good go-to, that could be an everyday drinker. You know, just don't get an older one. Look into a newer one. Everyone, I think, carries Xiaguan Tea Factory stuff in general. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. See ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Talon Tea video. Today, continuing with the Liquid Proust newbie sampler pack, we got the 2006 Star of Menghai Dayi. This is a show pu'er. I don't know, according to Google, it's a limited edition show. It's a premium blend of rich golden buds, deep flavor profile. It evolves from earthy, woody notes to sweet, floral, and fruity. What is it? It represents their classic style from Menghai Tea Factory, sought after by collectors. It's compared to other classic recipes like 7572, but with more unique characteristics. And it's a spring pu'er. Yeah, I think that's about all I got. It sounds pretty good. I believe TDB did a video on it. I haven't watched it yet just because I don't want to skew my own opinions on it before trying it. So I'll probably watch that after I try this. But yeah, just letting you know, TDB, they do way better, more in-depth and tasting videos than I do, and they're definitely more knowledgeable. But, you know, I'm working on it, and I'm getting there. But I already did the wash on this, as you just saw. That was probably about 30 seconds, maybe closer to a minute. Smells very nice. Still pretty caked up. But definitely smells nice. The dry smell was just like another show. Didn't look like anything special either, so I wasn't going to bother showing you. But they did include in this one very large, nice chunk that looks like it came off of a brick. Definitely quite compact, but yeah, it smells nice. Smells like a show. Let me smell again just to give you a better smell profile on that. I think that's a little. So what am I getting here? I'm getting some caramel notes, a little bit of woody notes, some wet stone. Yeah, I think that's about all I'm getting, and I think I'm going to go back in here once again at boiling. And it's still pretty caked up, and that wash looked very, very light. So I might give this a little longer than I normally would. I'm thinking I'm going to do about 20 to 30 seconds on this. Because even after that wash, it's still pretty solidly compact. Yeah, it looks like that... I just looked real quick to check the TDB video. It looks like that is on a completely different factory tea from Dayi. So that's the issue with factory teas, and why I feel like the barrier to entry is kind of weird, is there's so many codes and numbers and similar titles to a lot of the teas that like will be like one number off or one slight word off. They're all so close together, and once you try one, it's like, how do I find it again? Like that FT7573 Xiaguan Right Puer, the last one I had. I haven't been able to find that one. I was trying to look for it. I'm like, where do I get it? So I don't know. It's kind of difficult. I feel like barrier to entry for some of the smaller, more like specialty shops is a little easier, frankly. They tell you exactly what it is. It has some kind of name. Like nothing is super similar. I guess these older shops have just been going so long. They have a million different blends and different versions and specialty things. And it's like, hey, this is a spring. This is an autumn. This is a big trees. This one's aged more. Like yada yada. But yeah, that was a little rant. Let's smell this again. Yeah, definitely very earthy. There's a little bit of woodiness, but predominantly like soil, like wet stone, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of caramel in there. A little bit of, yeah, as I said, a woody note to it. Maybe a little leathery. But there's no like weird wet pile super mellow on that instance, which I would hope so at this point with the age on it. And looking at the color, it's definitely picked up more color. Still a little see-through on there, but yeah, it looks good. That one went for, I don't know, probably about 30 seconds. All right, so something else. Well, I was reading a bit about this. So this is a 2006. This tea from the Menghai Tea Factory was originally introduced in 2005. So that's pretty cool. Thought that was interesting. So it's almost the oldest one. It's almost from the original batch. That's really nice. Very full body on that mouthfeel. Very mouth coating. Oh, there's quite a bit of sweetness in the throat too. That's super pleasant, super prevalent too. Like a very strong, what do they call it, the huigan, that returning sweetness. It's just like coats the throat. That's actually really crazy. Dries the mouth a little, but definitely leaves behind the most pleasant aftertaste ever, and super sweet, like going down the throat. I very much enjoy that. I'm gonna do a second steep because I still feel like it needs to open up a little more. All right, I let this steep go for probably another 30 seconds, frankly, which is probably causing a bit of that mouth drying and astringency I'm getting, but bitterness is still, at least on that last steep, was still quite low, so I am not too worried about it. Definitely has the color I was looking for now. Definitely plumped up a bit, but still pretty compact. But typically that makes for longer steeps at least, or a more amount of steeps. So plus side, I guess. All right, I'm gonna taste that second steep real quick. Very pleasant. Definitely filled out in flavor a bit more. Um, I'm still gonna say not quite open, or needs a little more time. Um, but is very nice, very smooth, very pleasant. When I say smooth, I mean lacking bitterness and lacking astringency. Astringency's a little bit there, and it is a little mouth drying. Bitterness also slightly there. I'd say both are 1 out of 10. There's a nice woodiness on the finish. Overarching flavor is like sweet soil, leathery. Leaves a very nice aftertaste and a very nice sweetness and like returning sweetness that huigan. Yeah, very pleasant tea. If you can get a hold of it, because this one's pretty special from the look of it, 2006. But maybe the newer ones are just as good. If not, you could always grab a handful and age them yourself. But yeah, I very much enjoyed this one. This one is definitely up there for me as far as show pours go. Show pour not being in my most favorite of tea types, but it's definitely, I'd say, in like my top three. I'd say it's like white tea, Sheng pour, and then show pour maybe. So yeah, it's definitely up there for sure. But yeah, I think that's all I have. So leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See ya. Hey everyone, Talon here with another tea video. I'm back again with this Liquid Proust newbie pu'er sampler pack. This one is just labeled 2010 Xiaguan Tuocha. Yeah, this is the bag it came in. This is what it looks like. I already put some in the gaiwan and have it going for the wash. Very densely packed, which is something I typically feel like I expect with a Tuocha. That's just, I don't know, in my experience, how they tend to be. I don't know if this is a raw or a ripe. So far, everything I believe has been a ripe. So, yeah, who knows? It's not even labeled as a type of tea, so we had a little surprise here. But this has probably been going about, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. It's definitely quite compact, but I think we'll give it a try now. And then I'll give you a wet smell as well. There wasn't much on the dry smell, so I just didn't bother. I mean, it smelled vaguely of aged tea. That's about it. But let me give you a wet smell real quick, and then we'll go into the first steep. Definitely a raw. Smells nice though. A little bit of a plantiness, a little bit of a. Sometimes I get like kind of like a smoky ashiness on some of the raw pu'ers. I do wonder if it's from the processing or if it's just from that wash being real hot. A little bit of a vegetal astringency in there, but it's very mild. A little bit of a minerality in the smell. But maybe time will tell. Might let this open up a little more. And I'm going to go straight in with that first steep at boiling. And I'll probably let this one steep, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe 20 to 30 seconds just because it is so compact. But I also don't want to waste this tea, it being a 2010. I'm sure it's something special, something nice. And I'd like it to go for many steeps. So I'm going to aim for 20 seconds. I think that'll be wise. If it's still real compact then, I might just try to let it steam in the gaiwan so it's not wasting its energy. Alright, it's probably been about 15 to 20 seconds. This will be, I believe, my first raw of this tasting pack. They've all been shows so far, which is not a bad thing. It's December. I am filming this, as of now, Christmas Eve. I'm probably going to release all these Liquid Proust videos in one, like, supercut video. Just because I think that'll be easier, especially since a lot of these are, like, teas I feel like I wouldn't be able to find a link to. Or be able to even find again for some of them. So this will be a, once in a lifetime chance for me, probably, for a lot of these teas. So I'll just put them all in one video to make it short and sweet, and I'll highlight Liquid Proust being the purveyor of them. So I think that'll work the best. But tea's looking good, has a nice color to it. A stem made it through, but that's no big deal. Definitely got a nice dark color to it from all that age on the leaves. I could definitely tell it is a raw pu'er though, just by the little bit lighter color than most of the shows I have, as well as the smell. There's a little bit of like a basement funk there, but it's definitely not like any other shows I've had where they they have a soil, a loamy, like it's definitely a deeper, darker scent on show than this has, even with its age. Maybe if I had a little bit of an older Sheng, like even older than this 2010, like early 2000s, it might have a bit more of a show profile, but yeah, you can definitely tell the difference for sure. But yeah, it looks nice, has nice color, nice and clear. Alright, I'm going to taste that first steep. Very mellow so far. A little bit of bitterness. There's a little bit of a fruitiness to it somehow. Lighter body, for sure. I think it definitely needs a second steep and needs to open up a little more. I'm going to do that. Alright, here is that second steep. It has been another 20 seconds. steaming it in between steeps, and while I was drinking it and waiting for that first steep to cool off has definitely helped open up that very compact 12 chunk a bit. This was actually a couple chunks here. Yeah, there is definitely a aged scent to it for sure, but it's not super funky by any means. It just kind of smells like a little bit of a damp basement smell. So, a lighter version of what you get with a good amount of show pours in general. But it's not overwhelming. It's fine. It's complimentary, if anything. And there's a surprising amount of like I don't know, like a bitterness in the taste, and as well as like in the smell, like an astringent bitterness. But there's also a good amount of like a sweet fruitiness I'm picking up in the smell, as well as the flavor in that first steep. It just wasn't super strong yet. But still looking clear. Definitely a nice color to it. A deep, just like a deep golden color, deep brown. You can definitely tell it's an aged Sheng for sure. All right, here is that second steep. This is a really mellow tea overall, but it's nice. That stronger bitterness I had on that first steep has actually calmed down a bit. Which maybe I did pay better attention to steep time on there. There's like a bit of a tang to it, a bit of a zing. Yeah, bitterness has calmed down. Before it was like a 3, now it's probably like a 1. A little bit astringent, a little bit mouth puckering, and a little bit mouth drying. Astringency I'd put like still like a, maybe like a 2. And there is a bit of like an interesting zing to it, almost not quite a sourness, but kind of a sourness. Maybe like a 1 sour, like a 1 out of 10 on sourness. It's interesting. It's nice. I like it. And there is like that little bit of fruity sweetness in there, but it's super mellow, and it's more of an aftertaste of, if anything. It's like on the tip of the tongue, and it's like at the end. I'm gonna do one more steep. All right, this is a uncharacteristic third steep. I just felt like I wasn't getting everything I could quite yet out of this tea, so we'll see if this changes anything. But that was, once again, about another 20 seconds. And I'm doing all these at boiling. Leaves are mostly opened up. There's still a few pieces down there. I will say, on the wet smell, overall scent is indeed damp basement. There's a bit of a zing in there. Still a bit of like an ashy kind of smell, and it was like with that zing I'm talking about. It's almost like a very, very slight sourness, just ever so slight, and like a little bit of a fruity sweetness in there. It's like I'm trying to detect it. It's not something you'd be like, I get that right away. But overall smell is, yeah, damp basement for sure. It's not unpleasant. It's definitely something that's an acquired taste for sure. But still overall looking quite clear, looking nice. There's a bit of a sheen on that liquid. As to if that's the tea or the water or whatever. I mean, I use filtered water, so who knows? I'm sure someone out there knows about it. Alright, I'm going to taste this first steep, see what I think. It's a very nice tea. It's very different than what I'm used to, I think, is why I'm having trouble putting flavor notes on it. It kind of almost, in some ways, reminds me of a oolong. Yeah, it has like a little bit of a sour zing to it, which is real interesting. It's very mild. I'd say light to moderate body on the lighter end. A little bit of some roasty notes. In the flavor, there's not much funk. In the wet smell, so far, there's kind of a damp basement vibe to it. A little bit of a very light, fruity, and very mild vegetal notes at first. which have calmed down a little more, but they were already very light. It's definitely an interesting one for sure. I'd say astringent and sour would be notes. The notes I'm picking out the most. Bitterness is very mild. There's a little. That's a very light, easy drinking tea for sure, and it is pleasant. I'm just not really picking up. There's a little bit of a cooling sensation kicking in too. Yeah, so damp basement, a little bit of a woodiness to it. Some herbal, a little bit of sour. There was a light fruitiness, and there's like some roasted notes, like some charcoal, some ash kind of notes to it. Yeah, but quite nice, quite different than what I'm used to, especially for a raw pu'er, which I'm not too used to aged raw pu'ers. So yeah, the only ones I've had, I think, I've had like 2 or 3 that were like relatively aged. Otherwise, for the most part, I've been drinking fresh stuff. So this was a nice change. But yeah, this was definitely a interesting experience. I'm glad I got to try it. This was the 2010 Xiaguan Tuocha. I have no other info on it, but yeah, definitely interesting for sure. There was no funk to it or anything, so I assume it had a dry age to it, or a drier age. So yeah, I think that's all I got. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching. See ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Talon Tea video. Today I'm continuing with the Liquid Proust Newbie Sampler. This is 2006, 8 pieces, Spring UE, Sunsing Tea. So, already got the wash going just to get that out of the way. So I'll start by pouring that off real quick. Already got some good color to it. I can tell you, dry smell, not too much to talk about this, as with most of the other aged pu'ers so far, I feel. A lot of them have a very similar dry smell and truly awaken once you do the wet smell. So once you get some water on them, get them wet, their smell changes. But dry smell, it was, had like a, I don't know, like a basement aged wood vibe to it. Not super wet smell or funky. Definitely seems like something that was more dry aged, to my knowledge. But let me give you a wet smell on this while we're here. Surprisingly, the wet smell is very much like the dry smell. So, woody, kind of basement, damp vibe to it. Not a bad thing, just what it is. But let me just pull out this last chunk of the tea real quick, just to show you what it looks like dry. Alright, here's that for you. I'm thinking it is a Sheng pu'er, just by the lighter colored leaves in there, and the inconsistency in the color, whereas Shou pu'er is usually pretty consistently one similar dark color. And we are going to go straight in with that first steep. Already dumped out the wash. Definitely getting some good color to it real quickly. And I think I'll let that go for probably about 15 seconds. Alright. Here is that first steep. Been about 15 seconds now. Definitely has some good deep red color look to it. Nice thing about this is a good amount of the tea was pretty loose in the bag. It was obviously chipped off a cake, but I got a lot of loose stuff, and it seemingly quite whole, so that's nice. Quite a few big stems in there too. But that's just nice because I don't have to wait for it to open up. It opens up by itself pretty quick. Yeah, beautiful color on that tea. Nice, deep, rich red. Looks fantastic. I'm going to let that cool off for a bit. Alright, I'm going to taste this first steep. Yeah, it tastes pretty much like it smells, frankly. damp basement vibe, library kind of vibe. Bit of woodiness, bit of leathery. Pretty thick body. A little bit of astringency. Basically no bitterness. I'm going to do second steep just to see if more flavors come out, but I don't expect they will. Alright, here is that second steep for 2006. 8 pieces, Spring Yiwu Sunsing Tea. That was about 15 to 20 seconds. Still a beautiful deep red color, nice and clear, not cloudy, nice and whole leaves. Alright, I'm going to try that second steep real quick. Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say about this tea as far as the flavor notes. Definitely got an aged, a dry aged taste, so a bit woody, a bit like a basement vibe. But pretty easy drinking. Not too much bitterness or astringency. Both are like very minimal, like a 1 out of 10. Overall, very savory. Not too much sweetness to it. Bit of leatheriness to it. Bit of woodiness. Definitely a bit of an aged taste, but it's not too much. Not too funky. Probably a good intro raw pour if you were looking into something with some age to it. It's not overwhelming on the age taste. But overall, I think that's everything I have on it. I'm not the hugest fan of it, but I don't really dislike it either. It's probably firmly in the middle for me. As far as all the teas so far, this is in this taster pack. This is probably my least favorite one, just because there's really nothing interesting about it. It's just an aged raw pu'er. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just yeah, it just kind of is. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. See ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Talon Tea video. Today, continuing with the Liquid Proust Newbie pack. This is the 2002 Song Pin Hao Remake Raw Puerh, Malaysia stored. I know nothing about this tea. I'm just gonna go straight in. First off, it appears to be loose leaf stored. It wasn't in a cake, so that's something interesting. Smell-wise, not much to note at the moment, but hopefully once we get this wash in, I can give you a little more on that smell. We'll go in with this wash, do it pretty quick, and then we'll go straight in with that first steep as well. That wash and first steep will both be at boiling. Already got quite a deep color on it. This is a quite aged tea as well. And I am going straight in with that first steep. So to my knowledge, Malaysia stored is a more hot, humid place to age tea, so it gets a lot of age very quickly due to the environment as well as the microbe activity being so hot and humid. The microbes like it, much like I don't know, much like when you're probably aging whiskey or alcohol, the microbes like it, the heat likes it, or it likes the heat and the humidity, so it just ages faster. But yeah, I don't think I've had too much as far as I think this would be considered a not a dry aged, more of a wetter aged tea. So this will be interesting. And this is a 2002, so it's got a lot of age on it as well. I don't know how long it's been with Liquid Proust in Ohio. So it potentially was aged for a good amount of time, like 90% of that time in Malaysia, and then later went somewhere else for the rest of that age. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Deep dark color on it. And let me give a wet smell profile on this. Yeah, definitely approaching more like a show pu'er for sure. Got definitely some caramely, chocolatey vibes to it. It's very earthy, much like soil, like damp soil, like forest floor. And there is a little bit of a funk in there, and there is I'm getting like a little bit of some kind of like vague sour fruitiness in the undertone with that funk. But overall, it's like damp, earthy soil vibe to it. All right, I'm gonna taste that first steep. Honestly, not a whole lot to say yet. I think I'm gonna need to do a second steep. Yeah, not a whole lot to say. It just kind of tastes like I don't know, a vague tea taste, a fair amount of bitterness and astringency, and I don't know, very reminiscent of coffee at this point. Let me try a second steep because maybe more will come out. All right, here is that second steep. Once again, went in at boiling. It's been about, now that I've been talking, probably about 20 seconds. Hopefully closer to 15, I don't know. Probably doesn't matter a whole lot. I don't know. Much like the last one, I feel like there's not a whole lot to say about this one so far. That last one I was drinking, I don't know, it just tasted the same the whole time, and it really just had like a damp basement library leather taste. And maybe that's what they wanted, and that's what some people are into. Wasn't really my thing. And maybe I just don't like really aged tea. I don't know. I haven't had a ton of super aged tea, so that's what the newbie sampler's for, I guess. And I also haven't had, I don't think really any, or maybe I've had one or two like wetter, hotter aged teas, like Malaysia stored tea. So yeah, this is new to me. But looking at that second steep, very clear, very nice looking liquid. Nice deep reddish orange color to it. All right, I'm gonna taste this second steep. Yeah, so it tastes about the same. Quite earthy, a bit leathery. Pretty nice full body on it. A little bit of like I don't know, sour, fruity zing on the back note. It's very mild, very mellow. Overall, like a pretty fair amount of astringency, and that's me. And that's me watching Steep Time with that fair amount of astringency. This one very much reminds me of coffee. People always say Show Pu'er is like, if you're normally a coffee drinker, that's a good tea to start with, and I could see that with like the darkness, but I always felt it was very different as far as flavor and just general vibe. But this one very much reminds me of coffee. It's very interesting. Yeah, overall though, nothing really stands out too much, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad tea by any means. I just think this one isn't quite for me. I'm drinking tea to drink tea, not to drink coffee. Um, but if you're a real big fan of coffee and you want something to go to, something that's easy to transition to, this would be a solid one. Yeah, earthy, quite astringent, quite a bit of bitterness, and that's me watching the steep time pretty closely. If you weren't, I imagine get quite a bit more bitter and astringent. Quite a nice mouthfeel on it. It's very full bodied, definitely very mouth drying. Um, Yeah, that little kind of interesting sour fruity note on the very end. It's very mild, very mellow, but it is noticeable. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I get out of it. But yeah, it was okay. It's not for me, but I could see some people liking it. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I got. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See ya. Hey everyone, good to see you again. We are continuing with our newbie pu'er sampler from Liquid Proust. This is the second to last one. Last one is just enough for one tasting, so I wanted to save that for last since I only got a little bit. But this is the 2012 Yiwu Taiwan stored Raw Puerh. I've made, over 150 videos, I think, at this point, but I consider myself pretty new, and I'm especially not experienced with middle-aged to aged pu'ers. I'm more familiar with the newer stuff, and not super experienced with factory stuff either. So all this factory stuff is new to me, and all this real aged stuff is new to me as well. But overall smell profile on this, it smells pretty woody, smells a bit like bit damp basementy, but not like super funky or anything. I thought it smelled pretty nice. Not too overwhelming. I have it in this hot guy wand. I heated up all my teaware just now with some boiling water. Got it all rinsed out. It's all still pretty warm. But yeah, not too much to say on that smell. Smells like an aged pu'er. It got a bit of woodiness. Got a bit of a kind of a funky old basement smell, kind of a library-esque smell. But it's not bad by any means. But I'm gonna get in with this wash at boiling, and we're gonna have that in for, I don't know, 15 seconds. This wasn't too, maybe less, maybe like 5 or 10 seconds. This wasn't too compact or anything, so probably one of those situations where I'll just pour it in and immediately dump it out. All right, boiling water, 212 Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. Using the glass today because I figure maybe this will have a nice light color to it. And we'll just let that soak for a sec, and that's probably long enough. This one didn't feel too compact. I broke the brick that was in the packaging apart pretty easily by hand, so I don't think it's too compact. Just to show you the color on that wash, still probably pretty light compared to what it will be. And might as well do a quick wet smell just to let you know how that is. Yeah, definitely some more of those, I don't know, basement library smells coming through. And then in the back of my nose, I get some slight, very ever so slight. It's like a hint of vegetal and plant and astringent notes. A hint of what was, maybe. But definitely more of the age scent coming through overall. I don't know, maybe age tea is something that I will get a taste for, kind of like a lot of show pu'er. I've never had a huge taste for it, but it's definitely grown on me over time. And so far up to now, I think most aged teas aren't really my bag. I think like, and people, I don't even think people who are into aged tea call it age, but something like 3 to 5 years, I think is like my wheelhouse. Some of these fresher teas I get, I'm like, oh, that needs a couple years to sit. I can see that for sure, to, for the flavors to mellow out and, everything to kind of just fit together nicely, kind of like some alcohols. Sometimes I'll make my own wines and meads, and it's the same way. Sometimes things just need time to mellow out, just kind of get their proper flavors, and I do feel that way about a good amount of fresher show and Sheng pu'ers and white teas especially. I love me a good like 5 to 7 year aged white tea. Like those really shine to me. I'm not as big a fan of the fresh stuff. But here's that first steep. Already got a nice beautiful color on it. Nice and clear, too. Let's give these leaves another smell. Maybe they changed, but probably not. You know, definitely mellowed out some with that basement smell. It's kind of reminds me, it's more reminiscent of a show pour now, I feel. But there's still some, like, a hint poking through of, like, what it once was, of that vegetal, planty, you know, that Sheng vibe you get. There's a hint. It's very minimal. But, yeah, not bad. I think that overwhelming age smell I was getting at first has mellowed out. Alright, I let this cool off a bit, so let's give it a taste. There's a bit of spice to that one. Very round, like soft mouthfeel. Very woody as well, with like a little spice to it. A little spice in the background on the edges of the tongue and like back of the throat. Pretty mouth drying too, at least right now. But no bitterness. Very soft on the mouth though. That's real interesting. Definitely gonna try a second steep. All right, here's that second steep. Once again, was at boiling. It's probably been about 15 to 20 seconds now. Yeah, I think it's fully open now too. So we will pour that out. Nice deep orange looking color from here. Orange reddish. Kind of a mahogany. I don't know. Looks nice. And I already had some caffeine today, so currently after that first steep, feeling extra caffeinated, let me tell you. It smells quite woody. I think that's the overarching predominant smell on this one. Very woody. Taste too. Which color? I said mahogany. Kind of makes sense. It's a very woody tea. First steep, there was like absolutely no sweetness. Overall, it was a very savory tea as well. Beautiful color to it too. All right, I let that second steep cool a bit. I'm gonna taste it. A little bit more astringency now, but overall not bad or anything. Very minimal to little to none bitterness. Very round, like soft mouthfeel still. Kind of interesting. Coats the mouth almost. It's like, I don't know, like water softener. If you've like had a water softener or been exposed to that kind of water, where it just the water feels smooth on your skin, almost like a saltwater pool. A very slight astringency. Very woody overall. Little to no sweetness. Definitely a very savory tea. Pretty nice though. Very easy to drink. Definitely very caffeinated. I wouldn't really say warming. I'd say more cooling body feel. Some tongue expansion. Yeah, it's a nice tea. It's definitely for these aged ones I've had so far, definitely one I like a little more than some of the others. Definitely not my preferred flavor profile at all. I'd say this is definitely just purely woody, but it's definitely interesting and different for me. Definitely new, and that's what this sampler is all about. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to say on this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. See ya. What's up everyone, Talon back here again with another tea video. This is the final tea in the Liquid Proust Newbie Pu'er sampler pack. This is 2006 Xizihao? Yuli? Big. Yeah, 2006 Yuli. I don't know what that says. Bing Ho session? Binghole. All right. But yeah, so it came with a single session. It also came with the wrapping for the cake, so that's pretty cool. Definitely can tell it's old, pretty tore up. I think actually that yeah, the little tags in here too, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'll keep that. I'll put that in my stack. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all my wrappers, but I'm gonna do something with them one day. But I got all my teaware warmed up, so let's give this a quick dry smell in the warm teaware, just see if it affected it. Smells like aged pu'er, kind of woody, not too funky scenting. Smells pretty decent. Do a quick wash at boiling on it, and we'll go for, I don't know, like 10 seconds. I don't know how compressed this is. It was just a little piece and some dust in the bag, so I couldn't really tell how compressed it is. It might be very compressed, so I'll let it sit for a sec. All right, let me get a smell of this real quick. Not too strong on the smell. A little hay-like, a little light wood, a little planty vibe, but not too potent. And then there's the color of the wash for you as well. Looking kind of a light golden. But we're going to go in on that first steep at boiling once again. And I'll do, I don't know, 15 seconds. That piece in there is still looking a bit compact, but there's also some dust and other bits floating around, so shouldn't be too big a problem. Should get some flavor. I'm expecting this to last quite a few steeps from the look of it. All right, here is that first steep. I don't know, maybe this is going to be a milder one. I didn't look anything up about it. I just kind of wanted to taste it. Although some of these other teas I tried looking up, I couldn't find much on them. Or maybe I just, not much on them on, you know, English-speaking internet at least. But, yeah, let me get another smell of this. It's still pretty compact, I think. Yeah, so a little, yeah, it smells like aged, roasty, a little woody. Yeah, not much else to say besides that. Looking at the color, it does have a nice light golden color. Alright, I'm going to try that first steep. Got that tea dust everywhere. Very mild. Just as mild as the smell is, frankly. I think I'm going to have to do a second steep to get any kind of judgment out of this. Really all I taste right now is like an aged flavor and like a little bit of woodiness. Yeah, I'm going to do another steep. Alright, here's that second steep. I let it go a bit longer. It's still appearing very light. So maybe that's just what this tea is. That one was, I don't know, 25-ish seconds? Maybe 30? Let's give it another smell. Yeah, it still smells about the same. Got that aged tea and woodiness kind of scent to it. Maybe kind of a roastiness to it. That's really about it. So that nice light golden color, it has deepened a bit, I feel. Alright, I'm going to taste this second steep now. Yeah, this one's just very light. There's honestly, I don't have a ton to say about it. It tastes like a aged pu'er. I think I'm going to do a third steep. Alright, here's that third steep. I left it for quite a while. Definitely, probably about a minute. Got a nice deep golden color to it now. Definitely leaning more orange. Let's give that a try. Let's see if this made it work. It's still very mild tea. Overall, bit mouth drying, no bitterness. Just really, really light in flavor. Not much to it. Definitely dries out the mouth a lot. Bit of woodiness, bit of an aged taste to it. Let me smell it again. But that's about all I get. I don't know if that's the intent for teas like this. I'm pretty new to aged pu'er, and all these were first times for me. So maybe the intent is to just have a very one note, very easy to drink thing, and very light in flavor. I can say not really my thing. Not bad, doesn't taste bad or anything. It was just not much to talk about, not much to and maybe sometimes it's nice to have just something you don't think about and you just drink, and this is the flavor profile you go for. Not really my thing, I'm gonna say, but I gave it a fair shot. I'm gonna keep drinking through this, see if the flavor changes at all. Maybe it'll sweeten, maybe it'll get deeper. I don't know. It's still not open after like a 20-second wash and then 3 steeps, including that like last minute long steep. So definitely probably will last a while at least. So there is that. But I think that's all I have. It's been nice tasting this liquid Proust newbie sampler for all the aged pours. It's definitely something great that I believe he does every year. The tea is essentially free. It was just $5 for shipping, basically. Very much worth it. Shout out to Liquid Proust. That's awesome. And I did buy some actual teas off him as well, not just the sampler. So I'll be getting to those hopefully soon. Definitely got a myriad of assortment of random things from him. So yeah, those will be cool to try. But yeah, it's been Talon. Thanks for watching. I'm probably gonna edit all these together. It's gonna end up being like an hour-long video, but it is what it is. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. See ya.